All right. Excited to get into our last session of the day. And thank you, Lacey, Shannon, and Allison, for presenting and sharing about the Belleaire story, especially around this using data for progress monitoring students. One thing I think folks will know is we already had another school from your district who shared who shared about the same area. And I think that's the power right now is us seeing, okay, so what's your context? How have you made decisions that have worked for your staff in your setting? So I'm really excited that we're going to have a couple different looks at this really important data item. So um, folks, we're going to kick off with about 15 minutes or so of the content, and then we'll pause recording and hop into Q&A if there's any questions. Otherwise, I'll ask all my questions. All right, let's do it. Jump in, guys.
Okay, thank you for joining us today. We are excited to talk to you about TFI item 2.13. We will mainly be focusing on how we use monthly data conversations to guide our students in success in check-in, check-out, and social academic instructional groups. My name is Shannon Brand, and I am the Tier 2-3 facilitator. We are from Belleaire Elementary in Bellevue, Nebraska.
Allison Keller, also one of our Tier 2-3 facilitators.
And my name is Lacey Talcott. I am one of the SAT facilitators or student support team facilitators. So as previously mentioned, our school is Belleaire Elementary. We are one of 15 elementary schools in Bellevue Public Schools. For those of you that don't know, Bellevue is a suburb of Omaha, Nebraska. Not sure if that helps anybody either with it being Omaha, Nebraska. But then we are pre-K through sixth grade, 327 students this year. And then this is our demographic breakdown. At our building, we are fortunate to have a unique, diverse population. A few things that make us unique are our percentage of free and reduced lunch. So we're at 63% free and reduced lunch, making us a designated Title I school. Being in Bellevue, Nebraska, we are right next to Offutt Air Force Base, which also allows us to have a high military impacted population at 19%. We have a 32% special education population, and then we also have 13% English language learners.
As Lacey mentioned, we are a Title I school, so that affords us some additional opportunities and resources. We currently have 2 full-time support teachers that are devoted to title instruction. Currently, they are providing reading intervention and also additional support for our English learners.
As part of the Omaha metro area, we get to partner with the Buffett Foundation. They have a pretty big presence in our school building. We are a school as hub, as they call it. We have a family facilitator that is in our homeschool. She works with early childhood, any of our families with children. Newborns up through 3rd grade. She partners with them, helps with some parenting, helps with early childhood education. And anybody can apply to enter that program. It's really beneficial, and we're really glad to have our family facilitator.
The item that we are going to be talking about today is TFI 2.13. So this item focuses on a leadership team establishing and using decision rules, written process for regular data review, monitoring benefit overall by group and for individual students, and adjusting supports as needed by intensifying or modifying and then increasing to increase responsiveness to the intervention. Our data sources that we're going to talk through or look at or that our school uses is our intervention tracking form, our daily Panther pathway sheets. So that is our check-in, check-out sheet, family communication, student data in our behavior database, data analysis spreadsheets, and then tier 2-3 meeting agendas. The value of some of that this has brought to our school, specifically having these database decision-making meetings and looking through and analyzing this data has made it a lot easier for us to make informed decisions, meet our student needs, ensure their success. It's easier to look at data and have these decision rules than just to go off of like, oh, I feel so-and-so is doing better kind of a thing. It also has helped us put things in place with our teachers. So teacher planning, grouping for their students based on their assessment data, and then the interventions those students receive, as well as making sure that a student is receiving the appropriate amount of support. So when we have different tiers of support, making sure they're not getting too much or too little along their way. The history of implementation in our district, as I am sure all of you started with, is that tier 1 level that came out with our positive praise, reminding us of positive reinforcement, our little tokens or our little papers that a lot of schools use, and tracking those. Our district also paired that with Boys Town Training, which is a program here in our metro that teaches social skills broken down step by step. And then it teaches staff how to respond to behaviors. So we also received that training. And then a little while later, we started beginning to get into that tier 2, 3 implementation. This was continued through district professional development and then building level professional development for staff rolled out by the leadership teams in those specific buildings. The roles have changed. We've added things and each building is kind of in their own place with implementation of tier 1, 2, and 3. However, our district has rolled out the guidelines and expectations for the district.
So this is our Belleaire Elementary MTSS problem-solving process flowchart. We have taken our district guidance and then tailored it to our school with school-specific information about who teachers should contact if they have questions about certain things within the process. So this is a resource that we pull out whenever a teacher has questions or if they're wondering about where a student is in the process. We refer to this document at all times throughout the MTSS process. So these are our district decision rules for tier 2 interventions. Today, we're going to be focusing on check-in, check-out, and social academic instructional groups. So for our building, we mainly enroll students in check-in, check-out if they are identified on our SRSS student risk screener as being moderate or high in both internalizing and externalizing risk factors. And more commonly, students are referred if they have 2 or more major office referrals per month. We do have a teacher request form, but because we are able to catch students proactively through these other decision rules, we really haven't had a need for teachers to use that request form. We also look at layering up to SAIG if students are already enrolled in check-in, check-out, and then come up as either moderate or high in internalizing or externalizing on SRSS. And also if it's an opportune time for them to go into SAIG if they are not responding to check-in, check-out. So check-in, check-out is actually one of my favorite things that we have implemented at Belleaire. Currently, we have 6 check-in, check-out facilitators this year at our building that check in and out with students. We have done a lot of refinement of our process and a lot of reflection in our process, and just some circumstances have changed how we have done check-in, check-out throughout the years. So this year we have those 6 facilitators that have 1 to 6 students that are assigned to each of those facilitators. And we make a decision based on the location of their classrooms to allow for efficiency for the check-in and check-out process. We also look at the grade levels that our students are from, and also if our facilitators have a previous relationship already established with those students. Our district did shorten our instructional day last year by 20 minutes. So we've made the decision to not have any classroom teachers as our check-in, check-out facilitators, just to allow for that, maximize the instructional time that students are in the classroom. And so those set locations for checking in and out allow students to check in efficiently and check out at the end of the day efficiently as well. When students are identified for check-in, check-out from our B team, our lead teacher, so our assistant principal, contacts the families either through a phone call or a class dojo message. And then we also send a brochure home to families so that they know about the check-in, check-out process. This is our daily points sheet that the students receive for check-in, check-out. So at the beginning of the day, they're reminded of those classroom and Belleaire expectations. And at the end of the day, the facilitators look at if the students meet the goal of 80% or not, and then they receive a Panther praise if they do.
Okay, so typically we introduce students to the SAIG program if they are not being super successful with check-in, check-out. We had a couple years ago, a bunch of the school counselors in the district created lesson plans that we've had 2 people trained to be facilitators to deliver these lessons to the students. They meet every week for various times, whatever works with their schedules. And I'm going to keep moving forward. Here's some of our lesson plans, the sequence. These come from our Boys Town skills. So we're really breaking it down about like how can we follow instructions? How can we accept no for an answer? What are the steps? What is that going to look like? We use a lot of Julia cookbooks to demonstrate that in these lessons. We're trying to get these students to really kind of break down how we expect to see your behavior as and to become experts at it so that they can successfully go through the program and graduate. We do have yes, 18 lessons that they go through, so they're busy. The SAIG sheet that the kids use is a little bit different from the check-in, check-out one, but not much. Essentially, we just have broken down responsible, respectful, and right. So if you're going to earn 2 being respectful, that means you were following instructions. So we're not focusing on any other skill other than following instructions to decide like how responsible you're being and then listening and staying on task. So prioritizing those skills for the kids, again, looking for an 80% at the end of the day. And giving them their PBIS reward, their Panther praise at the end of the day. We do also some fidelity checks. So after, I believe it's 3 weeks, with our 6 facilitators who check in and out with the kids at the end of the day, I send them an email with the link to a Google form, and the form basically says like, are we reminding them every morning to be responsible, respectful, and ready? I send it out to the classroom teachers, a similar form as well, to make sure like, hey, let's reflect. Are you providing that hourly feedback to the student? Is it positive? Are you writing down, like, I'll go back to our sheet here, like the successes, are you including some success? Just taking a moment to reflect, and they've been pretty honest in their answers if they're missing something. We typically see that in the results of the survey. Okay. Yes, so we have our leadership team meetings, includes all of our MTSS team leaders, our administrators, and a few other support members on our team, just to kind of go through and analyze where's the A team, where's the B team, where's the tier 2, 3 team, where are we getting stuck, to problem solve, discuss next steps, and then our check-in, check-out, and SAIG data analysts. I'm one of them, and then we have another member of our tier 2, 3 team, and I'm going to show you the data page. It gets a little bit nerdy down into the weeds, but I'll show you what that looks like. And then we meet a couple days before our tier 2, 3 monthly meetings so that we can kind of present what the data says and have some suggestions about where we need to go. So here we are. This is our kind of get a little bit nerdy in this moment. So I've redacted the student names, but this was back from like our October meeting. We just have a list of all of our students, information about where they're at in the process, how many days they've been in check-in, check-out, we'll refer back to the decision rules. Have they spent the minimum amount of time? And then we plug in their average daily percentage from their check-in, check-out, or SAIG sheets. We want to see if they're at or above 80%. Their difference from their goal column here. So this month we only had one kiddo who was in the red. So then we kind of go in and we break it down even further. Okay, where are they struggling? What's the hardest section of their day? Is it a certain time of day? Is it a certain class? Is it a certain subject? So we look at their periods that are most successful and then their periods that are least successful. And then we talk about what's the best form of modification to help this student find some success. You'll see we also include our students who are fading or looking toward graduation. We're trying to get them to self-monitor, no longer have the sheet. They've been doing really well. So we're getting them kind of off the program and letting them succeed on their own. Again, this is our district decision-making, where we're at with our check-in, check-out, and SAIG progress monitoring. So as the data analyst, we refer to the sheet a lot, and this is a lot. I'm not going to dwell on it because you can refer back to it if you need to. But yes, so when we add a modification, our most used modifications are like a midday check-in where like we see, okay, you're struggling to get back on track after lunch. Like let's have the facilitator come to your classroom and just check in and motivate you to get through the rest of the day. Or a lot of times we will block out on our responsible, respectful, and ready. We'll just black out respectful and ready if we really need to focus on responsible. And so we'll just say, here's where you're getting scored for a while now, and like we just want you to focus on following directions or whatever the skill is. But yes, these are some of our other possible modifications that we can use, just catering to like, where is the student at? What do they need right now? And how can we help them be successful?
So I mentioned before that check-in, check-out was one of my favorite things at Belleaire, and this is the reason why. We have seen a huge impact with our students with check-in, check-out, and social academic instructional groups. This is our data from last year. And so from our data from last year, we had 38 students that were enrolled in 27 students from check-in, check-out, and SAIG. And those graduations are super fun, and we'll show what that looks like in just a second. The next slide is our data from this year so far. And so again, the effectiveness has been there. These are our graduation numbers by year. So as you can see, we've had a lot of students that have been successful in the program. They've been able to self-monitor and then graduate from either check-in, check-out, or SAIG. So when the students graduate, they get a little goodie bag. We do a little graduation ceremony with playing pomp and circumstance. They receive a certificate and a Belleaire shirt with the school expectations, and also they get to choose a sweet treat. And so then we always make sure to send home a picture to their grown-ups too as well to show how proud they are for completing the program.
All right, this last piece here, just a self-assessment for TFI item 2.13. We did rate ourselves as a 4 with the caveat of we are working to improve by analyzing our data by group or demographic and gender, or if they have a disability. So we are working on that as our next steps. Forward. I kind of mentioned this already, just adding maybe a column to our spreadsheet to organize it by group or an agenda item. So we're making sure that we're looking at student progress by demographic. Recommendations, things that have worked for us, getting this going. Definitely the decision rules rolled out by our district are very helpful to guide conversations. Again, it keeps us away from the I feel like there are actual decision rules on what we need to be doing or where the kid needs to move next. Making sure you have clear data collection systems, meaning regularly to review the data, and then creating an agenda that we follow during all the data analysis meetings has been helpful. Things that are getting better for us or that we're continuing to work on, just professional learning for staff, finding ways to explain things and work with our staff to keep them on board with everything. We're working about, like I mentioned before, analyzing data by group, refining our process, making sure that we're flexible and that making decisions that work for our school. Things change, classes change, we always have to keep those things in mind as well. And then communication with our staff and most importantly, our families is something that we're working to improve. Do we have any questions?
Nice job. What a great story to share. I'm going to turn off recording and